Today, we continue with our discussions on what happens inside your body when you fast. Are you ready? Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Classroom Podcast. Our objective is to equip, enlighten, inspire, confront your perspectives, and transform. And now, the classroom is in session.
Welcome to episode number 22 of our third season of the Classroom Podcast. And my co-host, all the way from Michiana, Pastor Johnny Merritt. How are you doing?
Doing well, sir.
What's the
How
weather
about yourself?
like? What's the temperature? I'm
Uh,
well. I'm well, by the way. Yes. What's the weather?
73 degrees and cloudy. I'm loving it. I'm loving
Oh
it.
my God. Oh
I,
my
I,
God.
I'd like to see a little bit more rain. A little bit more sunshine, but hey, I'll take it.
Guess the temperature over here.
Hell.
It is. It is. It's 86 degrees already. 86 degrees. It's like hell. It's like hell. But hey, we're in Florida. We're in Florida. Okay? This
Oh
is
my
Florida
goodness.
in the summer, but in the winter, Florida is the
Yeah,
place to be.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So, listen, we've got to take it. All right. All right. And our contributor today is my daughter, Minister Keisha Pierre. How are you doing?
I'm well. I am in a different position because my lower back is killing me. So I need to be more propped up than I usually am, but I'm doing good. Doing good.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, our topic is what really happens to your body when you start fasting. And we're on part number 2. We are looking at the natural aspects of fasting. So before we get into it further today, we want to do a quick recap, well, somewhat quick recap of some of what we mentioned last week in part number 1. And the first thing that we mentioned is that by about 12 hours without food, your digestive tract finally gets an opportunity to rest, and ceiling levels begin falling, blood sugar stabilizes, and this marks the beginning of fat burning. All right, that's around 12 hours into the fast. Okay, I encourage you, go back and watch the last episode if you've yet to do so. Okay, around 13 hours into your fast, growth hormone begins rising. And to better explain it, we're going to play this video for you. And then after that, we may comment a little bit. Let's go ahead and play the video. All right. Regarding the growth hormone that begins to rise.
So today we're going to talk about the fasting influence over growth hormone. Now, why is that important? Because as you age, growth hormone decreases more and more and more and more, to the point where you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s and there's not much left. And the problem with that is that it affects your proteins, your skin. So your skin starts looking older, your joints fall apart, you lose muscle mass, you lose your hair. But other than that, you're doing good. Growth hormone helps to preserve proteins that help you look youthful. It actually helps with body fat. So it's one of the main fat burning hormones. It also helps in building lean muscle mass, thus the word growth hormone. And it preserves muscle, so it prevents the loss of muscle. It also is involved with bone density, making sure your bones are dense and strong, and collagen, which is involved in a lot of different things, including your skin. So without collagen, your skin can look old very quickly. Growth hormone peaks at puberty, and every year it decreases. It spikes when you're sleeping. It's suppressed when you're eating, especially carbohydrates. You can spike growth hormone with high intensity interval training. You can also suppress growth hormone with stress but you can dramatically increase growth hormone through fasting. I'm going to put some links down below referencing some of the studies, but it's been shown that in a 2-day fast, you can potentially increase growth hormone by 200%, a 3-day fast up to 300%, and in one report, with a 7-day fast, there was a spike with growth hormone by 1,250%. Fasting will help you with all of these factors right here.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
Yep.
And that
Yeah.
happens 13 hours into your fast. 13 hours into your fast. Okay. Your HGH begins to rise. And it's a very good thing for your body. And in a 3-day fast, I mean, it can increase by up to 300%. That's amazing. That's great numbers. And I mean, for health purposes alone, we believers should fast.
Right.
From time to time, whether it's once a month, whether it's every other month, 3 days, for at least 3 days, okay, for at the very least 3 days, 72 hours, okay. But if you can do it for longer than that, that's even better. You guys want to comment on that? He said on what he said.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't have
Just,
more
yeah,
than that.
just,
Go ahead,
Well,
Pastor Johnny.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's pretty heavy hitting. Like, wow. Like, then he said at one point, I don't know, up to 7 days, I think it's 1,250% or something like
Exactly.
that.
Yes.
So basically, fasting helps you stay younger
Yes.
and live longer.
That's right.
So
Mhm.
that's
That's right.
good stuff.
Right. It's counter to what you would think,
Right.
Right.
because
Right.
that's not the way the mind thinks about fasting. Because the
Right.
mind thinks that you're dying when you're fasting.
Oh my goodness. That's exactly-
Right. Right. All right. After roughly 18 hours, people begin entering into ketosis. Ketosis simply means your body starts using fat instead of sugar as its primary fuel. I got
Thank
a
you.
second clip for you, so let's get
So our
into
body
it.
holds excess fat all through it. You know, even if you're super lean, you still have fat, otherwise you'd be dead. When you start to fast, ketosis starts to break down the fat, and when every fat cell is reduced through ketosis, it releases stem cells. So these stem cells were called embryonic-like stem cells. So that they're not embryonic stem cells, they're just like embryonic stem cells in the sense that they have what's called pluripotency. Pluripotency means now that this stem cell's floating throughout my circulatory system, it can take the place of any damaged or worn out tissue. Okay, the implications of this, most people cannot understand. The implications of this are phenomenal. This means that anywhere my circulatory system is traveling can be regenerated with stem cells. So, and this starts to happen, you know, within 24 to 48 hours, the stem cells are being produced.
And that's amazing. And as he mentioned at the beginning, on the front end, is that ketosis. It's once your body enters into ketosis. Okay, and by the way, that's the same thing when you hear about keto diet. Okay, that's what you're expecting for your body to enter into ketosis, and then what your body does now, it start burning fat instead of sugar as its primary fuel. Okay, and that's amazing, the way that God has created the body and what the body can do by itself. Amazing.
Amen.
You guys want to
No,
add
it's
something to
true.
it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was true. I mean, I know some people who've been on keto and they've seen some really great results, but I can think of a cousin of mine who she does not like sweets. She's not a sweet person. She doesn't eat a lot of sweets. Sugars are not her thing. Sugars are my thing for sure. But you know, you can see the difference. Now, granted, everybody's body composition is different. You know, the way that we store fat and things like that is completely different. But you can tell the difference on somebody who has a diet that's more on like either whole foods, grains, meats versus somebody who is on really like high sugar intake. and how, like, if you think about it, if you do like sweets, and just sugars is also carbs, but there's complex carbs and just different ways to eat carbs that's not as bad as eating just like high, what is it, high fructose corn syrup, or things that have just a lot of sugar content in it. But you can see the difference where if you're like a person who loves sweets, desserts, cookies, little treats and things like that, all that stuff that you're eating, one, is high in calorie, but two, your body is going to burn that before it burns the fat. Now it's turning it into fat, but it's still going to burn those sugars before it's burning the fat. And so you can see in a person who doesn't have a high intake of sugar, their body is able to burn other things because they don't have a bunch of sugars to burn. They don't have a lot of, sweet things to break down. And so it really is amazing. Like, you think like, oh, well, this person eats a whole lot more than I do. Why is it that this person isn't gaining weight, but I am? It depends on what you're eating. And for her, she doesn't eat a whole lot of sweets. Whereas for me, I might eat a little bit of sweets, but those little bit of sweets is enough to deter, my body from burning fat. And so, again, saying that, it's just really amazing how God designed our body. We were never meant to be eating all of these processed foods. We were never meant to be eating Oreos. God bless the person who created Oreos, but we weren't supposed to be eating Oreos. Our bodies don't know how to break down Oreos in the correct way. So it's just something to think about.
Oreos are still a blessing.
That's what I say. God bless the person, because my God, are they delicious. However, our bodies, God designed us that way.
He did not. He did not. He did not. And the thing about it is that when you intake food, the body burns it into fuel at first, whatever you give it, okay? Whether it's veggie or carbohydrate, it's going to burn into fuel. But it's the extra. After it burns it for enough fuel, that's when it starts to turn into fat. And that's when we start having problems. Okay, so either we eat less and give the body, you can continue to eat, the wrong thing, but you eat less and give the body less to turn into fat, or you completely change your diet and you add exercise to it and fasting to it to help. But fasting, nonetheless, whether you're eating less, whether you're exercising, fasting is something that you should be adding to your life. Because it's very important, not just spiritually, but also physically, as we're seeing here on this podcast. Okay. Around the same time, around 18 hours, autophagy also begins. And we mentioned that as well last week. And the word autophagy means literally self-eating. That means that your body starts to eat itself. Here's the good thing. Your body is not eating the bad cell, the good cell or the muscle mass. No, the body begins to eat the bad cells in your body first. Now, at some point, if you go on an extremely prolonged fast, your body will, once all of the fat is depleted, your body will begin to eat your muscle mass. But that's not the way that God created the body. That's not the first thing the body is created to attack. The body will attack first the bad cells, the growth that's in your body, anything that's unhealthy, that's not good. That's the thing that the body will attack first, will eat first before it eats the good cells or the good fat in your body. Okay. And that's the reason why fasting helps, because if you can fast every month, 3 days, then that's a process that you keep going every month. Okay. And if you keep that process going every month, it helps you. It helps keep you. It helps with keeping you healthy. You guys want to add something to it?
Oh man, yeah, I'm in class again, so I'm loving it.
Awesome. All right. The next thing, still around 18 hours, glucose stores continue falling. And by now, stored glycogen, your body's reserve carbohydrate, is becoming depleted. And that's extremely good for you. Because glucose availability decreases, fat metabolism becomes increasingly important. This metabolic flexibility is one reason fasting has become such a significant area of research. So that's really is helping, because as your blood sugar level is going down, that's what they mean by glucose. Okay, as it's going down because you are not eating. Okay, because understand that it gets the sugar, that's what it turns into fuel and fat. Now that it's not fighting it, it starts burning its own fat, the fat that's already inside the body. Okay, and now as the sugar level is decreasing, now a lot of things in your body is stabilizing. Okay, and things are running at the close to the peak level as they were supposed to. I guess we're going to continue, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's continue. Okay. And now we are getting into new areas. We didn't touch this last week in the previous podcast. Okay. Intestinal. Let me go ahead and put it on the screen. Intestinal, still around 18 hours. Okay. Intestinal stem cells begin activating. Was it
I
the
think that was
previous
on
screen?
I think you already had
yeah,
you already had it up.
Yeah, that's it right there. Intestinal stem cells begin activating. And let me go ahead and play this video for you.
So, first, let's talk about what a stem cell is. So, a stem cell is a cell that can go anywhere in the body and repair tissue. And each organ system makes its own set of stem cells and will repair each organ onto its own. Sometimes there's systemic stem cells, there's stem cells that are in cartilage and musculoskeletal tissue, there's immune stem cells, there's gut stem cells. But these are like little workhorses that go in and repair tissue. And what we know is, like, for example, your skin has stem cells. And when you lose those as we age, like you have a lot of stem cells when you're little babies have tons of stem cells. That's why their skin looks so beautiful. And then as we get older, we lose stem cells. So one of the reasons we wrinkle is not just because we are losing collagen, especially women going through menopause lose collagen, but because these stem cells become less vibrant, they become less active. And so all of a sudden you start wrinkling, but you can bring it back through fasting. So one of the most famous fasting studies was done on 72 hours. And that was done by Walter Longo. He's a famous fasting researcher out of the University of Southern California. And what he found was that if you go into a 3-day water fast, you actually start to make stem cells that specifically reboot the whole immune system. So he looked at it from the lens of, okay, if I'm in a 3-day water fast, if I go 72 hours without food, then all of a sudden he saw that old white blood cells got sloughed off, the body got rid of the old, and the stem cells came in and rejuvenated new white blood cells and made them energized again.
wow.
And that's interesting. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I've done a couple 3-day fasts, plenty 3-day fasts, and I didn't know like what my body was actually doing in those 3 days. You fast for 3 days, you struggle, mind is on food, maybe like day 1.5, it's like, all right, what am I going to eat in a day and a half? But like, you don't think about how your body is recouping in this time. And so it's really interesting to think about how God thought about everything. And I think it's also interesting, talking about 3 days. We see in the Bible, I don't know if it was just Esther, but I feel like somebody else in the Bible talked about fasting for 3 days. But I know, the book of Esther has that famous, they fasted for 3 days. And I think it's interesting, the idea of 3, it was 3 then and it's 3 now, and how like God doesn't change, he's continuous as he spurs our spirit within our spirit to, fast for 3 days in that time of Esther to, get some clarity, some spiritual clarity from God and direction from God. we still find that 3 days is sufficient to see all of these um, biological shifts in our body. And so I think, or physiological shifts in our body. And so I think that's really amazing. These people didn't know, they didn't do studies and tests on fasting, back in Esther's day. It's just something that they felt God called them to do, or she felt God called them to do. She did it. And obviously it was for spiritual reasons, but regardless, to see the impact that it had physically is still a blessing, and it's all God's design. It's just really, really interesting.
Yeah. To think that that after 3 days, your system, it's a reboot of your system. I just think that is an amazing thing. It's almost like having a junk folder that's all that's emptied out, and now you've got everything fresh. The memory is all fresh, and you're starting over again. I just think that is an amazing natural working. In fact, it has zero to do with spirituality. It is just a healthier thing to do for your body. I just find that amazing that after 3 days, you basically bring in whole new a whole new army of stem cells.
Hmm.
It's pretty interesting stuff.
Right. And what's great with these stem cells is that once they are generated in your body, they don't have any assigned place. So they will go wherever it's needed. Okay. And to repair whatever is needed in your body. And that's what's great with stem cells. Okay. And being that your body can generate them during fast, that is amazing. And that's only 18 hours into the fast. That's only
Right.
18 hours into the fast that your body starts repairing itself. And imagine if you have some issues with your digestive system, okay, then during the fast, it's not just simply resting because you're not eating, okay, so you're giving it a break, a much needed break, by the way. Okay, because some of us, we just eat too much and we snack too much. Okay, some of us might not eat too much, but we snack too much. We're continually feeding our body. Okay, so your body needs that rest, because we mentioned in the previous podcast that it takes 10 to 12 hours for your body to digest, for your digestive system to burn the meal that you've just eaten. Okay, so it's a long time. So when we eat 3 times a day and then we snack in between the meals, so our digestive system continues to work 24 hours a day. So it's something that needs a rest. So when we fast for 3 days, for example, for us here at our church, we fast every week. Okay, we have 1 day fast every week, and then we also encourage our church members to fast additional days, and some will fast 2 days a week and 3 days a week. Some will fast longer than that. Okay, and that's so important because it gives the digestive tract a rest, and then on top of that, with the stem cells that's being generated, then now it's preparing the body as well, especially the digestive tract, for restoration if there is something wrong with it. So that's really very interesting. Okay, another fascinating development involves the brain. Let me go ahead and put that up on the screen. And I'm not on the screen. I've been talking all this time. You guys could have told me I'm not on the
I was
screen.
gonna stop you and say something, but I'm like, you mid thought, so I'm like, let's
You're
Yeah.
on a roll, man.
I was on the wall, but I was not on the screen. Okay, it involves the brain. Levels of GABA or gamma. I can't say that word. Aminobutyric acid. Oh, that's a heavy word.
That's good, man.
Aminobutyric.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Aminobutyric.
Yes.
Aminobutyric.
Gamma,
Something like that.
gamma. Okay. Is
It
that
it increases that word, and that acid increases with fasting. Okay, GABA acts like the brain's natural brake pedal. It slows excessive nerve activity. This often promotes relaxation, reduce anxiety, emotional calmness, and improved stress. So not only does it help with the other things that we just mentioned, but it also helps the brain. It helps calm the brain down. Okay. And that's definitely part of what fasting is supposed to do from a spiritual standpoint. Okay. So seeing that scientists are looking at it from that standpoint is amazing. Okay. Although I don't know what GABA is, but it helps calm down the brain, and that's a good thing because brain activity sometimes is way too much.
Yeah.
It causes a lot of
especially in the world,
anxiety. Go ahead.
especially in today's society and in today's culture. There are so many gadgets and so many different ways to keep ourselves really overstimulated. And so to be able to fast, that fasting helps kind of bring you down a few notches and just kind of I like that. And the scripture says, and I believe in Psalm 46:10, uh, be still and know that I am God. So
Come on.
there's a time of being still, and that fasting helps us come into that still place.
That's right.
Mm,
That's right.
yeah. I like the idea of the emotional control too. I think I can see that correlation for sure when I fast. I always just attribute it to, you're tired, lethargic on the opposite end of just not having enough energy. But it could be something else. I've always attributed it to that. Doesn't mean that's what it's been. It's probably, speaking of this, GABA, it could have been that the whole time, where I feel a lot more level headed. I'm not kind of like bouncing from extremes or spinning my wheels or anything like that. Is really just kind of a calm state of being. I always, like I said, I attribute it to, and it's probably a lot of things, but I always attribute it to, like, lack of food noise, because you're not thinking about food or you're not thinking about preparing food. So there's no food noise. And then you're also like feeling the fatigue of just not eating, but it could just be more of a neurological balance that's happening, that's keeping you level. And I was going to say that that makes a lot of sense too when it comes to a spiritual level, because, or the spiritual side of things, because in order to really hone in to what Holy Spirit may be leading you to do or revealing to you or whatever the case is, takes emotional control, takes an emotional calmness. I like that better. An emotional calmness, because if you are in your feeling some type of way, really high in your feelings, it's very hard to discern what Holy Spirit might be trying to reveal to you. So that's amazing that God has designed our bodies to be conducive to the spiritual aspects of fasting. Like He also designed our bodies to go in alignment with the spiritual aspects
Come on.
of fasting.
Come on.
So I think that's amazing.
Come on. The calmer your mind is, the more you're willing to submit,
Right.
to surrender. And that's the whole essence of fasting, which we will get to you to in a couple of weeks. We'll also talk about the spiritual aspect of fasting, because most people fast, but they don't really understand why God loves fasting and what God wants us to fast and what's behind fasting spiritually. Okay. By the way, this is kind of outside of the subject, but it bears saying. Oftentimes we talk about the Daniel fast in the Bible, or as believers. First of all, what we call the Daniel fast is not a fast. There is no such thing as the Daniel fast from a biblical standpoint, because a fast has to mean abstention of food. If you are consuming some level of food, you are not fasting. Okay? That's number one. Number two, Daniel never referred to it as a fast, it was a lifestyle. Okay? So I understand what we mean when we say Daniel fast. It means that we are eating only
Eating salad.
vegetables, okay?
Yeah.
Which is, we understand that's what we mean. but it's not a fast. If you're doing it as a fast, it's not a proper fast.
Even
Both from, let me add this, Pastor
Okay.
Johnny. Both from a physical standpoint and on a spiritual standpoint. Because spiritual fasting requires abstention of food. We'll talk about it when we start talking about that. Go ahead, Pastor
and
Johnny.
even with fast, because a lot of people now fast from social media or fast from their phones or fast from TV, and that's great, but
Right.
those aren't biblical
They're
fasts.
not.
It's good to abstain from those things and to
Yes.
shut those things down but
Yes.
those aren't the fast that the Bible
Yes. That
or
God requires.
believe that God requires.
Yes.
So, uh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. The fast that God requires involves
not easy.
abstention of food. For however long you wanna. Might be a day. It cannot be less than a day. By the way, it can't be less than a day. Okay? It doesn't matter how many times you eat a day. Okay? It cannot be less than a day. Okay? It has to be at least a day
Wait, you're
or
saying
more.
that you're to
What you
see
saying?
the physical, benefits,
Not
or you're
just
talking about it
not just
spiritually
physical, spiritual. Because the whole purpose of fasting, we don't want to get into it deeply, is to weaken the body. That's the spiritual reason for fasting.
So what is a day? 12 hours, 24 hours?
A day is 24 hours. So when we fast for 24
So
hours, do we weaken the body? Is the question.
so if someone fasts for 12 hours, that doesn't count?
From a spiritual standpoint, no, because the
interesting.
body is not weakened. The purpose of fasting is to weaken the body. We're jumping well ahead here. We're leaving the natural reasons. Let's come back to the
All
natural
right, all right,
reasons,
all
and
right.
then we'll come back
Yeah,
to
we're
this.
going to get
I
into that.
promise we will.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I promise we will. Okay. Let's come back. Let's come back. Okay. All right. Let's move the clock a little bit here and go around 24 hours into the fast. Okay. All right. And I know some people will have a lot to say about that as well, the spiritual aspect of fasting, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll do that in a couple of weeks. Okay. Around 24 hours, your body runs on fat and on fat alone because there's no food.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is beautiful. That is
It can
beautiful.
take all of that. It can take
Yes,
all of it.
because your body is in autophagy now, and it is self-eating, and it is running on fat. That means that the fuel that your body uses for you to function, it's only the fat, the reserve fat that you have in your body. Okay? And that is amazing. And they call that fat oxidation. And it becomes much more significant after 24 hours. Fat oxidation simply means your body is efficiently breaking down stored fat and converting it into usable energy. At the same time, ketone production increases. So not only are you burning fat, but you are also increasing your ketone levels. Go ahead, guys.
I love it. That's probably my favorite part is the fact that it starts to burn this fat. Take it. I mean, unfortunately, I replenish it on day 3, day 4, very quickly. Unfortunately for me. However, I think it's amazing that the body will start to turn to fat, to burn off the energy. It's funny. I saw this is related, kind of, but thinking about gluttony and just the idea of how much we eat way more than we should. But I saw this post that made me laugh. It said that I wonder who was eating. I wonder who it was that was eating so much that God had to look down and say, "This is a sin." Because it's like this person was eating so much that's just like, all right, we've crossed the boundaries of what is acceptable. This is now a sin. We can't have this, because we eat way more than we should. We really
Way
do.
more.
I think it's amazing that the body can begin to utilize that and it's amazing, like to think again, it's always a fail safe, You think about people who had back in the day, and even now today, where there's famines. famines or droughts or whatever the case is, and we can't eat, or people who are stranded somewhere and they can only survive on very little, if anything, like how the body has the ability to uh, burn energy from what's already stored. There's people who um, are lost in the forest, for several weeks, and they're surviving off of little berries that they're finding or whatever, very little. And it's because their body had enough fat to burn. And so, again, it's just amazing how God designed us to be able to survive even very extreme situations, fasting outside of fasting, very extreme situations, because our bodies have the ability to burn fuel in different ways. I think God's design is amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I to me that's where you want to get to when you're fasting. You want to get to that place where your body is burning fat, only fat in your body, and your ketone level is increasing, and being used as a clean burning fuel, because at that point here, as I mentioned earlier and last week as well, that's when your body starts eating the bad fat first. So that means that whatever that is unhealthy for your body starts attacking it. But if you're eating, your body doesn't have the ability to attack that because your body has to store it, right? Because you are eating, especially if you're eating carb. But when you stop eating for 24 hours, then your body, now that your digestive tract system is resting, and then now not only the other things we mentioned are happening, but you give your body time now to start burning the fat, especially the bad. And I mentioned a documentary that I watched on YouTube. Actually, I played a little bit of a clip of it earlier. Two brothers fasting. What I mentioned last week that both of them had some health issues. That wasn't correct. Only one of them had health issues. The other one was only supporting his brother, and they both decided to fast for 40 days. The first 20 days they would do it water only, and then the last 20 days they would do it drinking juice. Okay, once a day. Okay, but it was 40 days. I believe it was once a day. And the result, and you can watch it. I encourage you to watch it. I'll put the link in the description. And they are not believers, by the way. They are not believers. They were doing it only purely for health reasons. Think about that. Unbelievers are fasting for 40 days.
Yeah.
Okay. And we believers, we can fast for a day or two. Okay. We're complaining. Okay. We say we can't. Always tell people you can. You can. Okay. And as soon as you start trying, you realize that yes, you can. Although we did mention last week that some people truly can't. Some people truly can't. Okay. And you may fit in that category, but it's a small amount of people rather than everybody thinking that they can't. But anyway, going back to what I was saying about the brothers, the result is that eventually, by the time that he was done, because he primarily had back problem, and they did the test at the end. They did the test immediately after the fast, and then they did the test 3 years after the 40-day fast, and things stabilized. And things got better because I mentioned that I was going to give you a report of what happened at the end. And that's exactly what happened at the end. But one of the cases, or one of the things that they mentioned in the fast is that there was a guy that had a tumor. First of all, he had a cancer. He had a cancer in the colon. Okay. And he went through the regular, things and went to see the doctors, and they did everything that they knew to do for him, and none of that helped. He eventually decided, okay, let me fast. And he fasted. He didn't say how long, or maybe he did say how long. I don't remember how long he fasted. And he fasted. And after the fast, they could not find the mass in the body. And that makes sense once again, being that that's the first thing that your body will attack. Now, I am not here telling you this as a doctor, because I am not. I am not here telling you that if you have cancer or any growth in your body, fasting is the solution. But I can tell you that fasting, based on how it works, can also be a solution. Okay? It can be a solution. So that's what I'm here to tell. Okay? It may be a solution. All right. Let's keep moving. Around 36 hours into the fast. Okay. Need to put it up on the screen. There we go. Dopamine increases. Okay. Around 36 hours, fasting increases dopamine activity, which influences, that's what dopamine is, influences motivation, focus, alertness, reward, and drive. So it does the opposite of what you think it would do. Now, obviously, if you fast a prolonged fast, then eventually you're gonna get things gonna slow down. Okay, because there's not going to be enough fat in the body, especially if you're pretty lean. There's not going to be enough fat in the body for your body to find enough fuel for a prolonged fast. Okay, but the bigger you are, the more fat your body will find to keep you going for a longer period of time. And as long as your body is finding fat or bad cells, okay, then the dopamine level will increase in the early days of fasting, for sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
That is interesting. So Professor Clump could go on a 40-day fast and be fine.
Yes. Yes.
Has enough energy to support him for a while.
Cool.
Yes. And the thing about it is that naturally we think less food means less energy, right?
Yeah, we
Right.
do. You're right. Because
Yeah.
I've felt it at times. I've felt less, but if we let it kind of work and do its thing, eventually that energy will come. What they call that second wind
Exactly.
will kick in.
Exactly. You know, my son, who is often on the podcast as a contributor, David Jr., he's currently on a 5-day fast right now. Okay. And he was sharing with me yesterday. He said, you know what? I'm not any more hungry than I was on Thursday. Okay. And that's usually the way I feel. That's what I mentioned last week as well. Okay. Doesn't matter how long you are into a fast. Okay. Your hunger is going to stabilize. It's going to stabilize. It's not going to rise up every single day. Oh my God, I feel like I'm about to die. No. As long as there is fat in your body, and once again, once the fat is depleted, your body is going to start eating the muscles as well. Now, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't want that. Okay? Your body is going to start eating the muscle mass. Okay? But because your body is going to eat everything that it can to survive.
Yeah.
And that's the way that God created it.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff. Just
Amazing.
natural recuperation. It's just mind blowing. Now I can see why David said, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made."
That's
With,
absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right. All right. Around 48 hours into the fast, okay, growth hormone, stem cells begin participating in tissue repair. Not only are you generating stem cells that start happening 18 hours into the fast, but now they start repairing, okay, the tissues, okay? Let's watch this video about that.
It's a great day to talk insulin resistance.
One video. Let me stop this one here. Give me a second.
That's why intermittent fasting works. It helps reduce.
Let's switch
as
it
far
to
as
the
aging goes, in the cell, it has to do with an inability to repair. Okay, so when a cell can no longer repair, it ages fast. Now, if we can actually replace these old cells that can't repair, then we can live longer. And we do that through what's called stem cells. A stem cell is a cell that doesn't really have a purpose yet. Okay? It turns into something when the body needs a certain cell. Now, there are certain parts of your body that turn over new cells very quickly. Others take longer, and some never turn over any new cells. Okay? But the hippocampus in the brain is the part of the brain that is involved like a relay switch with your memories and stress responses. And this is one area that you can actually have a turnover of new cells. You can actually regenerate cells in this part of the body. Thank goodness for that. And then even beta cells. There's been studies in mice that you can actually have stem cell replace the beta cell, that's where insulin is produced. And if you have insulin type 1, you have some severe damage to that cell. Even bone, the immune cells in bone can be replaced. Colon cells, they replace very, very quick. The skin cells get replaced pretty quick. So what really triggers the stem cells is prolonged fasting, okay? Like I'm talking like 72 hours or even longer. So if you were to do periodic prolonged fasting, you're going to greatly improve stem cell. The fat burning effect that occurs with fasting really helps to fuel these stem cells. Now there's something called PKA. Okay, this is a gene that needs to be shut down for stem cells to spread and rebuild. And guess what will lower this? Prolonged fasting.
Amazing. Go ahead, guys.
I keep saying the same thing. I like Pastor Johnny. I'm in the classroom, so I'm just learning. I don't no questions, no notes. I'm intaking. It really is crazy. Crazy. Yeah.
It is. It is. The way that God created the body and what the body is able to do on its own, okay, without you prompting it to do it, okay, is amazing. All we have to do is to stop eating for a little bit, okay, and if we can manage to do that, then the body starts repairing itself, and you can find many areas that he shows that stem cells generation can help, as your body generated these new stem cells, and once again they don't have any assigned location, so they can go anywhere. And that actually they do have ways to inject you with stem cells right now, okay, but you don't have to be injected with stem cells, okay, and that's probably going to be very costly, okay, when your body can generate it by just fasting periodically for 3 days or more, maybe 3-4 days, okay. Right now the way that I do it is that every month I fast for 4 days, beside the weekly 1 day of fast. So every month I fast for 4 days because I want to give my body time not only to rest as far as the digestive system, but also to regenerate stem cells and to get into ketosis and to get into autophagy and to burn fat instead of sugar, because there's no sugar content coming in, okay, and to give that body time to regenerate and to be healthy, okay, and that will definitely help. All of the videos that I've watched, and I encourage you to do some research, okay? Don't just take our words for it. Do some research and watch these doctors and listen to what they're saying, okay? Most of them are not talking about this, by the way, but some of them are. And listen to them, and that should encourage you to fast. Because the whole purpose of these two podcasts, last week and this week, is to show you not the spiritual aspect of fasting, but the natural benefits of fasting. Okay, and fasting is beneficial to you physically. Okay, and especially in the Black community. Okay, we are too big. Okay, we are too big. Okay, and just a year ago, I was just about 280. Okay, so it's important that we start changing the way that we eat. I used to eat to live. I used to live to eat, rather. Okay, that used to be my mindset. Now I change it to eating to live. Okay, did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Because
Yeah,
sometimes
that's right.
your mind gets confused on that. Okay, all right. Let's keep going. Um, because a stem cell generation is very important. Okay, because they function as an internal repair system for the body, one that does not need a doctor. Okay, and a doctor's intervention. Okay, but it's important that you realize that they don't magically regenerate every damaged organ overnight. What they do is that they play an important role in tissue maintenance and tissue renewal. Okay, that's what they do. Okay, around 54 hours into the fast, let me go ahead and put that on the screen. Insulin sensitivity improves. Okay, now let's watch the video that I was playing earlier.
It's a great day to talk insulin resistance and intermittent fasting. That's how they go together. That's why intermittent fasting works. It helps reduce the body's release of insulin, and it helps increase the body's sensitivity to insulin. Insulin is secreted by the pancreas after we eat carbohydrates. If there's a lot of insulin around because you ate some high carbohydrate loaded foods, that extra insulin is going to produce fat. If there's not a lot of extra insulin around, you're not going to get that extra production of fat. Therefore, if you only eat in small windows of the day and you control what you eat so there's not a lot of carbohydrate load, you're going to get less insulin release. Therefore, you're going to get less fat production and more fat burning. That's one of the ways that intermittent fasting helps you drop weight.
All right. And that he explains this really well. By the way, his name is not Dr. Berg, it's Dr. DeFabio. I put the wrong name on the clip. Okay. Wanted to correct that. Go ahead, guys.
I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting. I've done intermittent fasting before, obviously for not spiritual reasons. And clearly, according to my dad, it wouldn't give me no spiritual benefit. No way. Definitely have done intermittent fasting. And I have seen great results from intermittent fasting, especially adding, drinking, oh my gosh, grapefruit juice with apple cider vinegar. Man, I could see a difference just in the way that my body was burning fat. Yeah, so I everything that he said, I feel like I've witnessed in intermittent fasting, and it's something that I would like to really incorporate in my life because I think that one, again, we've been saying this all day, is that we eat too much, we consume way too much, and it's addicting. The food that we do eat is addicting. Carbs, sugars, addicting, and so for fat loss, I think that intermittent fasting is great. I'm definitely a person who can testify on its benefits for sure. I thank God I'm not in a place where I have any insulin issues. Thank God. That's a blessing. But outside of that, from a fat burning standpoint, I've definitely seen the benefits of it.
Amen. Amen. We're going to go ahead and keep going because of time. Because I'm looking at the time here. It's, yeah. So around 72 hours into the fat, your immune system, do I have it on the screen? Yes. Your immune system is completely renewed. It's a reboot. Think about that. It's a complete reboot of your immune system. Your stem cells would begin to generate and completely renew your immune system. Think of it as giving your immune system an opportunity to rebuild. It has a full reset after 72 hours. That is amazing. 72 hours, by the way, is 3 days of fasting. 3 days, 3 full days of water only fasting. By the way, water only. Okay. All of the fast that we're talking about here, it's water only. Okay, because as soon as you start interjecting sugar into it, it start pulling back the natural effects because it's going to take the sugar and burn it rather than the fat in the body. Okay. All right. So it has to be only water. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm good.
All right. There's nothing to add then. There's nothing to add. Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to stop here and we encourage you. We encourage you, if you're not fasting already, to begin to think about fasting. Okay.
Begin to think about it.
Yeah, begin to think about it. Okay, I mean that's where we have to start. We have to start about with the thinking, and then with the doing. That's the next
There's
step.
this, there's this
Okay.
there's this quote in the office where somebody was asked to do something. It's like, I need you to try to do this. And he said, I will explore exploring it. That's exactly what you're telling them to do.
Exactly.
Explore it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm telling them to do. To explore, exploring it. Okay. Because it's good for you. It's good for you, but I can't make you do it. Okay. But I will encourage you. I will encourage you. Highly encourage you to fast, because fasting is not just good for you spiritually, it is also good for you physically. And most of us, if not all of us, can we need the benefits of fasting. We need it. We are not healthy enough where we don't need the benefits of fasting. So many of us are diabetic. Our blood sugar, our blood sugar is high. We have issues with cholesterol level, high cholesterol level. We have so many problems in our bodies. Okay, so fasting will help. Not only will it cause us to lose weight, because as your body is burning the fat, your weight will also drop. It will help lose weight, but it will also help repair your immune system. All right, it was a pleasure having you, Kish. We're so thankful for your insightful perspective, and we will see you next time. All right, Pastor Johnny. And if this podcast was a blessing to you, we encourage you to please do us a favor. Click on the share button and share it with as many people as you possibly can. And also click on the subscribe button. Okay? Click on the subscribe button and like it. The more you interact and you click the like button, the more YouTube will put it in front of people just like you. I want you to remember this, okay? Extended fast should be approached carefully, okay? Especially by individuals with medical conditions. Those who are pregnant or anyone taking medications should consult their physicians before they fast. Okay, for a prolonged time. Okay, but if you're healthy, if you're fine, I encourage you, begin to fast this week. Okay, don't all right. The exploring to explore can begin this week. Okay, as far as exploring, the second exploring. Okay, begin to fast this week, and it will definitely be beneficial to you, both spiritually and physically. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.